Hello, everyone. Dr. Rowena Winkler here, and happy Halloween. Happy Samhain at the time of this recording. Yes, it is Halloween today, and what better way to celebrate this holiday than by exploring the truth with the tarot. So, a little bit different today. I'm going to be doing a lot of chatting and talking through the process of the tarot. No slides this time around, it's just you and me. And I look forward to hearing what has come through for you, what has been helpful, what resonates. And yeah, keep me posted on your tarot journey. So, before we dive in, I just want to quickly talk about my personal journey with the tarot. In the grand scheme of things, I feel that I'm fairly new in regards to this spiritual journey and utilizing tools like the tarot. I was raised Catholic for much of my life, went to Catholic school up until college, and as with many things, I think the start of my journey is from when my dad passed away. Because what happens when you lose someone so close to you is you start asking these questions, right? Like, what is this about? Like, what's out there? What can I learn? How can I change? How can I be more myself? And it wasn't until that moment that I started moving toward astrology and learning more about my gifts and talents as an intuitive and what I wanted to do with those gifts. And then, as I continued to expand and grow, it was COVID-19, of course, that led to a lot of changes for everyone. For me, it allowed me the space to explore things, including the tarot. And so today we're going to talk about how to find decks that resonate with you, that call to you, how to be able to find a deck for you. Intuitive readings, right? Because I know for a lot of us, myself included, as someone with perfectionist tendencies, we're like, oh, I don't want to get the reading wrong. I don't want to read the card wrong. So let's talk through how we can read more intuitively and feel into the reading without like our brain getting in the way, right, of what's right and what's wrong when it comes to reading. And then, how to utilize our decks, right? How to create a space, how to create a container to do these readings. And then when it comes to the translation piece. So those are the four areas that I'm going to chat about today. This masterclass is brought to you by the Inner Muse membership. It's my monthly membership where we do classes like this every month based off of the theme, the vibe, the astrology of the month. And in addition, we do a full moon and a new moon practice, and all the recordings are there. Every class, every worksheet, everything that we do as a community is there for you. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know, or you can go to rowenawinkler.com and you will see the membership listed on the homepage there. Okay, let's get into it. So finding a deck, it seems simple, but it's not, right? Because your tarot deck becomes attached to you, right? There's like an energy to it. I mean, there are decks that my friends use that I can't use, or that there are certain decks that only like certain people, right? It really is. It has that energetic uh attunement, right? And that energy that comes with it. And so several ideas when it comes to choosing and selecting the deck. First off, first things first, quick and easy, the name, right? Is there a name? Does the deck have a name? Because there's so many different kinds of tarot decks out there. There's so many iterations of the tarot. So when it comes to picking your deck, and this doesn't necessarily mean just your tarot deck, but any deck, right? Any oracle deck. What is a name that resonates with you? And the example that I have in this instance, which I unfortunately cannot show you in person because it's currently packed right now because I'm moving next week into a new home, is one of my first tarot decks. It's called the Neo Tarot. The Neo Tarot, a fresh approach to self-care, healing, and empowerment. I mean, if you know me and you've worked with me, You know exactly why I was drawn to this tarot deck. It's a very beautiful deck. Actually, one of my coaching clients uses it as well. It has a very beautiful self-care, self-healing empowerment lens, which is definitely the vibe that I go with when it comes to the tarot. And we'll talk about that in terms of how we read the tarot. But yeah, think about that. Another way that we can look at what decks we're drawn to is the images, right? Um, one of I mean, this is my deck. The deck that I use personally in all my readings is the Next World Tarot by Christy C. Rode. And what really drew me to the deck is just the images are so gorgeous. So maybe the images call out to you in some instance. I know there's a lot of theme tarot decks out there, right? So if you're like into, I know the Nightmare Before Christmas and that's actually a fun one given the holiday today. A lot of folks like that tarot, right? That there's so many decks out there. So if there's a vibe or a theme or a type of imagery that you want, do you want artwork? Do you want something, do you want something more like animated-esque or something a little more abstract, right? There are different types of images there that may draw it to you. And then the last piece in regards of choosing the deck, I mentioned at the start of this is like energetically. When I'm in the market to purchase a new deck, I go to the store and I literally just look and see what comes, like things jump at you, right? What catches your eye? And then like you feel into it energetically, as with all things. It's like what does that feel? How does that feel? Like what's energetically, does that seem to resonate with me? Is there an attraction there? Is a magnetism there? Because I'm a firm believer that if something is meant for you, and that includes tarot decks, if like something is meant for you, it's going to draw that attention. It's going to draw you in. And you're going to know, you're going to be able to feel into it and be able to say, "Hey, this is the deck that is meant for me, right? This is what is going to show up. This is the deck that is going to be there for me," and you build a relationship with your deck. So that's the piece of that. Okay, now let's move into intuitive readings, because a lot of us were like, oh, I don't want to get it wrong. I want to be right. I want my reading to resonate. Let's just, like, first of all, take a deep breath with that. Because when it comes to this work, when it comes to anything with the tarot or astrology or human design or oracle card readings, at the end of the day, just by dropping in and seeing yourself as this vessel to share this information, uh, what's coming through is meant for who you're reading for. An example of this is when I first started doing readings, like mostly when I was doing my oracle card readings, there were moments when I would shuffle the deck, and this comes true with the tarot too. Like I'll shuffle my deck and I'll get a weird visual, I'll get a weird image, and I'm like, that's effing weird. Right? I mean, like, I'm not, but like, so I didn't say anything out loud. And I've gotten to the point now where even if it sounds ridiculous, even if it sounds so effing random, I'm gonna say it. And most of the time, like pretty much, I would say 9 times out of 10, like maybe even 10 out of 10, I have that much confidence that if I say something, the person that receives it is gonna be like, holy shit, Rowena, like, oh my God, this XYZ thing happened, or that's exactly what I needed. So, you know, don't disregard what I like to call those intuitive hits. They're there for a reason. They come through for a reason. And by staying grounded and staying open to that, that's what's going to come through. But of course, we're going to need help, right? Like, I didn't gain my confidence in reading cards from, just kind of chilling with myself. I did seek out mentorship. I did look for teachers, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, listen, coaches, teachers, mentors, they're there to serve as role models for you. And additionally, they're there to help you compress time. Because if I hadn't found the teachers that have led me to my understanding of the tarot, I wouldn't be able to teach it today, right? Like it would have taken much longer for me to figure this out on my own. So the teacher that I used, that I discovered, as I mentioned, during COVID-19, when I was just hanging out a lot as a new mom, trying to figure things out, is Tarot for the Wild Soul. Lindsay Mack, she's an amazing, brilliant teacher. And what I love about her approach to the tarot is she talks about the sporadic nature of tarot and of our lives. Because at the end of the day, the major arcana of the tarot, right? Like going from the Fool onward, that is representative of our own spiritual journey. We have full moments all the time, right? We're not going to just like boop, I'm done, I'm healed, I'm awake, I'm good. No, we're going to keep going back and back again. And that's what I love about Lindsay's approach is she talks about the sporadic nature. She talks about tarot from a very inclusive, empowering, again, that empowerment piece is so important for me personally. Uh just, a soul-based tarot reading. And that's what I'm inviting you to do, right? It's intuitive, it's soul, it's felt in your soul. So that's a teacher that I recommend. Tarot for the Wild Soul, Lindsay Mack. She's amazing. Follow her. She has great spreads every month. So if you're join her email list, she gives spreads in terms of the seasons and whatnot. Another place that you can go if you're like, I mean, I'm not really. I'm so online coursed out. I'm so zoomed out. I'm so over it. If you want to look into books, books are great too. Obviously, I got a PhD. I love books. Books are awesome. I was just talking to my husband yesterday as we're packing up for our big move. He's like, "Why do you keep buying books?" Because there's like so many books, but books are amazing. A book that I recommend that I've used is called Tarot for Change, using the cards for self-care, acceptance, and growth. My oh my, I feel like there's definitely a running theme in my tarot resources because there's self-care again. The author is Jessica Dorr, and I will certainly in the description of the video put all these links there for y'all. Tarot for Change by Jessica Dorr. Again, similar approach, right? What I love about this resource, it's like, okay, how does each tarot and reversal, right? Because the reversals are mentioned both by Jessica and by Lindsay Mack, is it what I love about Jessica's approach in this book is she also ties it to the work that she's done with clients and with, folks that she's worked with. So you see anecdotes, you see very specific applied situations, and it's certainly along the lines of a kind of book I would love to write someday, right? So that you see the examples, you see how these cards play out in real life, right? It's not like, oh, Empress, what does that mean, right? You can see tangibly how this work and how you can integrate the message of the tarot into your own life. So that's a book that I recommend. And then, oh, I forgot to pull that out. Actually, I think it might be packed. Something that has helped me as I was starting is I developed a cheat sheet. And I probably have a PDF somewhere. I will share that with you as well. I created this cheat sheet, like a front and back cheat sheet of what, based on my teachers, based on my learning, what do the different cards mean and what are the meanings attached. And it's like a cute spreadsheet situation. So very organized, by suit and by number, you can get a sense of what the cards mean. So yeah, cheat sheets are fine. I don't think a client's gonna be like, oh, how dare you reference your materials? You know what I mean? Like we're Googling shit all the time. So why not why not use a reference, right? When we're doing our reading. So whatever you need, right? If it's like a bookmark on your computer as if you're doing an online reading, if it's a little cheat sheet. Kind of side note tangent, I run an RPG, like a role playing game that uses the tarot called Divination, which is chef's kiss amazing. And they created little like placards that you can just like put on the table, so like you can flip front and back. So if you're like doing a live reading and you need that resource, you can have something like that. There are many ways that you can have resources at your disposal as you're doing a reading. Don't feel like, obviously I'm talking about the intuitive nature of like seeing what comes through, but if you need a little cheat sheet, there's nothing wrong with that as well. I mean, we used that in high school days, right? Our little like, what is it? Uh equations. Oh my gosh, I'm so not a STEM person. Like our little like equations things we wrote in there. Anywho, okay. So there's that. Then the next piece of it is like When when do we pull out the deck? When do we pull out the deck? Um, sorry, my mind's in the gutter. I'm like pulling out the deck, y'all, the deck. Okay, so you'll know when it's time. You'll know from many different ways. Okay, so oftentimes when we're feeling stuck, if we're like we're stressing about something, we're ruminating on something a lot, we're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. If you're like in this internal war, like back and forth, or like, I don't know, I can't, I don't know how to, what's the next step? I'm not sure. Or if it's like, I don't know if I made the right decision or that's next, or like, this is the step for me. Um, if you have to make a big decision, I know that I've used my tarot deck for that, right? To kind of help calm my nervous system a bit and also bring some clarity to the situation, because here it is, right? Here it is at the end of the day. Here's the big secret. Something like the tarot, that's just a tool. That's just a modality to pull out what's already inside you. You already have all the answers, but the tarot is a tool that you can use to get that truth out, to get those answers out. And so if you're feeling like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to ask, pull out the tarot deck. That's a way that you can gain some clarity in what you're asking. And then I mentioned already those intuitive hits, right? The intuitive hits, they come in sometimes you're just driving, or I know a lot of folks get inspiration in the shower, or maybe you watch something and like there's a quote that you're like, "Damn, I got to write that down." If you're feeling the nudge, if you're feeling a nudge like get the deck out, right? Time to turn to the tarot deck. Very helpful. Another way to do it is to just get into a consistent practice, right? I'm all about incorporating structure. So it doesn't have to be every day. It can be literally, with the IMM, we do full moon, new moon. Maybe it's just pulling tarot for the full moon and the new moon and seeing what messages come through for that. I'm an ambassador for the Ritual Society and the Ritual Planner. They have a beautiful, gorgeous tarot based planner where you can pull your spreads and use these cute stamps to keep track of the messages and like see how things progress. Before I had that planner, I just had my notebook. I mean, you don't need something fancy. Every full moon, new moon, set your intentions or release what you need to, depending on what the lunation is. Do a spread. And here's the thing about spreads, you don't have to, there's no it can literally be whatever makes sense for you. You can do one card if you want one card as a message. You can do three. There's past, present, future, or whatever, but it is yours. That's the takeaway. The key takeaway in all of this is make it yours, make it your own, make it what works for you. These tools are here for you. So if it feels contrived and it doesn't feel in alignment for you, don't do it. Like, at the end of the day, don't do it. Um, so yeah. So if you want to incorporate a practice that way, that's helpful. If you want, if you want to do a every month or every quarter, if you want to read the tarot when it comes to your business, right? To see how things are looking, you know, actually, that's a great idea that I need to incorporate, right? Like, I'm still figuring out when to incorporate these things. Tarot is amazing when it comes to client-based work. Not saying, again, this is for exploring your truth, but if you want to be in collaboration with someone, that's really helpful as well. Community readings are very helpful, right? So if you're feeling like, oh, I don't know if I'm reading this right, how do I, what's coming through, it helps to have a friend or someone that's familiar or maybe not, and just being able to read together in community and see what comes through and what's coming up as you pull the cards. Oftentimes the decks come with their books, right? And this comes to the last point, is how do we translate these messages? you know for me personally, the way that it goes is I don't, when it comes to my tarot deck, right? Because the tarot has a similar structure, even if they're different names or different ways it goes. It's the similar, major arcana, minor arcana, court cards, that sort of thing. If I'm feeling called to read, I will honor that and I will read. I don't always read from this, but if you want to always read from this, read from this. you know, read from the book. Um, Another way when it comes to translation and the tarot is look at the images. You know, oftentimes these decks are channeled, right? These are folks' creations, their creative works to develop these images. Especially if you're not doing the traditional uh Rider Waite sword tarot because they have very consistent imagery when it comes to each part of the tarot. But if not, I mean, the reason why I love the Next World Tarot, this tarot deck, so much is of how inclusive and how expansive the image, like the images are just gorgeous. I mean, look at that. Come on. Magician under a bridge, when you do the reading, look at the imagery and see what comes up, right? So, okay, um, I'm getting with this magician card, there's like a nomadic vibe, right? Like that she is in transit, that she is, but she's got all these books. So there's like a learning there, right? She's learning her craft, her power. She's got like a cup of coffee there. She's she's staying up, maybe she's staying up, right? She is putting in extra hours to know her craft. um in this deck in particular too, what I love is that it includes the astrology, and as someone who is very familiar with astrology, and that's helpful as well when it comes to the readings and the messages. So I'll say, okay, so this card is based on Virgo and Earth, right? So there's a groundedness there that in order to own your magic as the magician, in order to be able to share your message, you have some organization and structure in place to help you get to where you want to go, right? And then you see the planet here, Mercury, and Mercury is the planet of communication. So I was able to derive just from this card, you know what I'm saying? I'm just looking at the image and the words that are there. You see that it's the number one in the major arcana, so then you know that it's at the start. Like this is like the first part of your journey after the Fool. So again, there are messages that can come through within the cards themselves that perhaps can help you not feel so tied or feel so anxious about being right or wrong. I know that's so difficult. That was one of the things that I need to get through. Hello, I'm a recovering perfectionist, right? I was like, oh, I don't want to be wrong. Just let it go. Just let it go. And the other cool thing about when you're reading for yourself or for someone else, like if you're reading for someone else, you can do that in collaboration too. Be like, what do you see here? What sticks out to you? And have a conversation. It's an empowering exercise. When I was first doing readings, and this was more astrology than tarot, but I think the same lesson applies. When I was first doing readings, I was so anxious about being right and about giving the information that I literally lectured. It was like, and this and that, and you got this, and that, and it was so one-sided. And that's not the point of all this, right? It's collaboration and building community and learning from each other. That the way that I read and the way that I interact with clients when I do these sorts of readings is, answering questions and asking questions and being able to have this dialogue. And I think it makes the reading so much more meaningful because you're not talking at them. You're talking with them and talking through how the interpretation of the card lands with them. And that just goes along. Bottom line, when it comes to tarot, when it comes to any type of card reading, it's all about the energy. Doing this work takes a lot of energy. Even though it may not seem like it, you're like, oh, I'm just pulling cards. But to really tap in and drop in, and to be able to open yourself up in order to receive the messages that are meant for the person you're reading for, like that's a lot. So at the end of the day, just take care of yourself, right? Like check yourself energetically. If you need to do some protection, like setting some boundaries, y'all know I'm a Pisces, right? So my boundaries can be permeable. So by whether that is a grounding meditation or just envisioning like white light bathing you, if it's lighting a candle, if it's saying a mantra, if it's, you do what you need to do to get yourself in the right headspace and to protect yourself. Because as empaths and as folks that are drawn to doing these sorts of readings, we can we can absorb a lot of that, and it's like, ugh. And that's the thing too when it comes to taking care of your tarot deck. Like, this is a very sacred practice, right? We are doing really meaningful work. So, we're not just gonna like toss our cards in the wind or whatever. If you want to put it, in silk, or if you want to conduct the reading, you create a space, an altar, somewhere very special, because this is very meaningful work. It's very important, and it helps us all on our journey. And that's what's so beautiful about the message of the tarot, right? The major arcana is our sporadic, our journey in this life, our spiritual journey, our practice. How do we move, um how do we move through the major arcana, and what are the players along the way? How do we contend with things like tower moments and death and the devil, right? Like, how do we tap into our intuition through the moon so that we can achieve the world. The world is at our fingertips, and that's what the tarot helps us with. It enables us to see that so much is possible, and these are the possibilities, and the magic is there, and it's so fun. If you missed it this morning on Instagram live, I did conduct some live readings. If you want to hang out in that regard and let me know, I'm definitely going to be doing more readings from here on out, because it feels good. It feels good to me, and I'm at a point now in my practice where I want to share those messages with others. And yeah, that's just it. At the end of the day, you got to do what works for you. But I hope that this was helpful in terms of selecting the deck, ways to find teachers and readings. As I mentioned, I'll drop all the links there. Following those intuitive nudges, and being able to translate the messages in a way that makes sense for all of you. I'll be quite transparent myself, right? Like, eclipse season has been doozy. At the time of this recording, it's eclipse season. Samhain, as I mentioned, Halloween, veil is thin. There's a lot passing through. So just take care of yourselves. Stay hydrated. Get plenty of rest. Eclipse season is about rest. Don't feel like you have to muscle into anything, including this practice. If you don't feel ready to read for other people, practice with yourself. Practice with me. If you're interested in getting into it, I'm more than happy to do a collaborative reading with you, to talk with you about what's coming up in your own cards. And in addition to that, I've incorporated tarot into my coaching as well, and it's been so delightful. It's been so nice, so lovely. It's just like that extra, like, here's another message from Mama Uni. So with that, I think that's all we've got going on for today. Let's see, what is next month? November. um Next month, what are we doing next month? I can't even, what is here? Hold on, let me pull up the calendar. Wow, I need to be more prepared. My calendar is too full with other things that I can't see what's happening with the IMM. So we have the lunar eclipse. So here we go. Oh yes, we're moving back into marketing next month, y'all. We're gonna talk about personal branding, um, and how to do that again from a more intuitive lens, so it doesn't feel so forced. And then we have a beautiful Sagittarius new moon at the end of next month as we get ready for Thanksgiving. Sagittarius is a fire sign and is the adventurer who wants new knowledge, new things, and I think tarot is a great way to do it. So, with that, I hope this was helpful. Let me know what you think. And yeah, happy Halloween. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.